With my college football schedule preview and point spread prediction videos. Today I'll be doing the Arkansas Razorbacks. So Arkansas has one of the toughest schedules in the country because they play five teams that are likely going to be ranked in the preseason top 20. Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Tennessee, LSU, and Texas. And they also play a team that's likely going to be ranked in the preseason top 25 or if not right outside of it at Texas A&M. And all six of those teams, I think, are better than Arkansas. But I do think Arkansas will upset one of those six teams. Possibly they could win two of them. But I think Arkansas's ceiling is 7-5 because Arkansas never wins all of the 50-50 type games. They're no doubt going to lose one or more of Memphis, Mississippi State, Auburn, and Missouri. But I'd say the two least likely wins for Arkansas would be Notre Dame and uh, Texas. And while Arkansas does not have any guaranteed conference wins, I'd say one very likely conference win for Arkansas would be Mississippi State. And Arkansas has a very tough non-conference schedule because Notre Dame is going to be a preseason top five team, and they're a much more physical team than Arkansas is, and they've got a much better defense than Arkansas, and the run game is a lot better than Arkansas's is going to be. And Marcus Freeman is a much better coach than Sam Pittman is. He's a really good coach that I think is going to have Notre Dame consistently good for many years to come. And Arkansas's road game against Memphis, while it should be a win, it's nowhere close to a guaranteed win because Memphis is one of the best group of five teams. They won 10 games in 2023 and 11 games in 2024. And in 2023, Memphis beat Iowa State, who that year was about as good as Arkansas is probably going to be this year. And in 2024, Memphis beat two Power Four teams. One of them, though, was Florida State, who was just a high school team in disguise. But the other one was West Virginia, who, while I know was not very good last year, Arkansas wasn't amazing themselves. But this won't be an unfamiliar location for Sam Pittman because since he's been at Arkansas, he's coached at Memphis in the Liberty Bowl twice. But it is nice that Arkansas gets to start the season with two guaranteed wins in the non-conference against Alabama A&M, who's an FCS team, and Arkansas State, who I've never seen them play before, even though they're in the same state. But Arkansas State is sometimes a decent group of five teams, so they may be able to challenge Arkansas for a half. But this should be a blowout win for Arkansas. And Arkansas's first bye week, I think, comes at a decent time because it comes after Notre Dame, which is a game that Arkansas is probably going to be worn out from, and before a road game against Tennessee, which is a game that you would have to give Arkansas a decent chance to win because they've won the last four meetings with Tennessee, and their defense played really well last year uh, against Josh Heupel's offense. But the second bye week, I don't think comes at a very good time because it comes right before a road game against LSU, and LSU has won 8 of the last 9 meetings against Arkansas. I think it would have been better to have had that in between Texas A&M and Auburn. But the road game against Ole Miss, some good news for Arkansas in that one is Ole Miss returns the least production of all teams in the SEC, only 42%, and of that 42% does not include Jordan Watkins, who gave Arkansas's secondary a nightmare last year, having 5 touchdowns and over 250 yards. Arkansas, some good news also for them in this game is that Petrino's offense did find ways to put up points against Ole Miss last year, and Ole Miss's defense, I think, is going to be much weaker than it was last year. But last year's worst defensive performance for Arkansas was against Ole Miss, and Lane Kiffin's offenses are always explosive. And while Austin Simmons, I don't think will be as good as Jackson Dart was in 2024 in 2025. Lane Kiffin has never not had a good quarterback at Ole Miss, so you would expect him to be pretty good. And uh, LSU and Texas, I think, will be the toughest at 2 in a row on this schedule because the LSU and Texas were Petrino's offense is worst at 2 performances last year. Uh, they only scored 10 points against LSU and only 10 points against Texas. And LSU's defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, is his name, is I think one of the better defensive coordinators in the country, and he'll probably have LSU's defense even more improved in his second year there. And Brian Kelly is a much better coach than Sam Pittman is, I think. And against Texas, even though Bobby Petrino, I do think, is still a top 10 offensive play caller. Steve Sarkisian for sure is too. And Texas has a much better defensive coordinator than Arkansas does. And it would be surprising if Arkansas were able to win one of those 2 games. And they have no chance of winning them both. So now for the point spread prediction. Games in the green are games where I think Arkansas will be favored to win by a blowout, 20 or more points, and there's 2 of those: Alabama, A&M, and Arkansas State. Games in the blue are games where I think they'll be favored to win by double digits, 10 to 19 points, and there's one of those, Mississippi State. Games in the purple are games where I think they'll be favored to win by about a touchdown, 6 to 9 points, and there's one of those, Memphis. Games in the pink are games where I think they'll be favored to win by about a field goal, 1 to 5 points, and there's uh, 2 of those, Auburn and Missouri. Games in the gray are games where I think Arkansas will be about a field goal underdog, and there's one of those, Texas A&M, and games in the yellow are games where I think Arkansas will be about a touchdown underdog, and there are 3 of those, Notre Dame, Tennessee, and LSU. Games in the orange are games where I think Arkansas will be a double-digit underdog, 10 to 19 points, and there's 2 of those, Ole Miss and Texas. So Alabama A&M Arkansas should be favored in that one by about 50 points. And Arkansas State, I think Arkansas will be about a 30-point favorite over them. And Memphis, Arkansas, I'll say, will be favored by 7 points in that one. And Mississippi State, Arkansas should be favored by about 10 points. And Auburn, Arkansas should be favored by 4 or 5 points. And Missouri, that's only in the pink because it's a home game for Arkansas. It'd be in the gray if it was on the road. Arkansas, I'll say, will be favored by a point or two. And Texas A&M, I'll say, will be favored by 4 points over Arkansas. And LSU, I'll say, will be favored by 7 points against Arkansas. And Notre Dame, there's a good chance when it comes time for it that that'll be an orange game. I put it in the yellow only because it's a home game for Arkansas. But Notre Dame, I'll say, will be a 9 point favorite over Arkansas. And Tennessee, I'll say the spread will be 6 points in that one. And Texas, I'll say the spread will be about 10 points because it's a rivalry, and Arkansas did compete with them last year. But I do think Texas uh, will probably be more than 10 points better than Arkansas this coming season. And Ole Miss, I'll say, will be favored by a couple of touchdowns, maybe 14 points over Arkansas because it's on the road, and Ole Miss gave them such a big beating last year. But that'll be it with this video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.